Welcome to Thursday, December 18th, 2025. Your DayWeather Podcast brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at WyomingAdvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, I put together a couple of words there to describe what happened yesterday across the region. So yeah, we just made up a new weather word, and so unfortunately a lot of scenes of blowovers. We had some fires. We had just incredible winds, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. Unfortunately, don't shoot the messenger, but really the next 3 days there's a lot more wind coming. We're going to have some more high wind episodes, especially in the wind-prone areas, because the jet stream winds are just screaming off the Pacific and coming in at the right angle to continue to produce very strong winds. And the wave that came through yesterday, producing the wind, producing rain, producing snow, producing thunderstorms even, is now wrapping up and turning into a blizzard situation with powerful winds over the northern plains. With the moist and energetic Pacific jet stream winds off and on snow in the northern Rockies, the Pacific Northwest, we're going to see some snow showers on the plains, especially Saturday, so travelers are going to need to watch that if you're going to be doing your Christmas travels this weekend. Now, it actually is going to get a little bit colder Saturday. Temperatures will be colder most areas today, warming up Friday, going back down temperatures on Saturday. Over the weekend, starting Sunday and heading into Christmas week, a trough of low pressure will settle in off the west coast and sit there, spinning on its heels. That's going to bring west coast wetness, widespread rains up and down the west coast, significant snow to the Sierras, and there's going to be some of that moisture pushing into west of the Continental Divide by Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. You get on the other side of the divide, there's a whole lot of nothing. It's going to be a brown Christmas along and east of the divide and into the plains. Chinooking downslope winds and high pressure will bring an unseasonably warm Christmas if you're along and east of the divide. Now, want to talk about the wind yesterday. I could run a very, very long list of wind gusts that were reported across the region, and they were impressive. 60, 70, 80, 90 mile per hour winds were reported over the low elevations. Dave Bell here was Johnny on the spot, picking up the winds after the front came through yesterday afternoon, clearing the skies, and you can see the blowing snow coming off the Wyoming range as the front went on through. Now, when you see winds like this blowing the snow, yeah, they're really strong. But I want you to pay attention here to Mount Coffin, as Dave has nicely labeled everything for us here. During the frontal passage yesterday, Mount Coffin has a wind sensor that the Bridger-Teton Avalanche Center maintains, way up there just short of 11,000 feet. Believe it or not, we had a wind gust of 144 miles per hour reported. Now, this is a well-sited station, good equipment. Yes, so this is believable. Now, this happened about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And one thing you notice about this is, well, did the wind stop after the front went through? Well, this is probably an equipment failure. As you can see, the wind direction hasn't changed and the wind speeds have gone to zero. So is that legitimate? Yes. This is the same time as we showed you this graphic yesterday of the strong jet stream winds coming on through. So we had jet stream winds at 30,000 feet that, if you do the math, change knots to miles per hour. The nose of that strongest jet stream wind was approaching 200 miles an hour. And those winds, if conditions are right, can mix down to that 11,000 foot level. And then, of course, it was hard to keep your garbage cans and your lawn chair equipment, your patio equipment secured. And the skies were angry yesterday. Yesterday was just a miserable, angry, miserable day all across the region with the wind knocking over fences. Boy, there's a scene I think that was found all around the Western High Plains yesterday, just trying to keep your fences up and your trees up. Ripples of wind here along Wheatland Reservoir number 3. Something extremely wrong with this photo. No, it's not. The photo was taken incorrectly. The Wheatland Reservoir number 3 at a high elevation up in the Shirley Basin north of Laramie, by this time of year should be covered in thick, thick ice. And as you can see, one thing that the wind will do is make ice melt very, very quickly of any ice that was around. And we had some wave clouds, some Kelvin-Helmholtz wave clouds right here showing up along that strong wind boundary. And the day before, they were showing up there in Colorado Springs. Now, as the system cleared out, we did see some clearing skies for a bit. And boy, there's a beautiful photo there. So we'll end on a high note with some pretty pictures and even a rainbow in the Cody area after the front went through with those rain and snow showers. Here's the wave that came through yesterday. It is a powerful northern plains storm now. It's winding up, and you can see the impressive comet shape with this system. Now, it's not necessarily bringing a ton of snow to the U.S., but it will for parts of southern Canada. And here we go again. Another very strong jet stream wind nosing in off the Pacific into the Pacific Northwest and northern Rockies. This will bring the next round of wind and snow as we get into later today, tonight, tomorrow, and into early Saturday. If we look at that low pressure system rapidly intensifying there over northern Minnesota, you see this tight pressure gradient right here? Okay, that's just going to make the wind scream on the back side of this system. And we have blizzard warnings for a good part of North Dakota, winter storm warnings and advisories for northern Minnesota and Wisconsin there. And then here's the brown again. More high wind watches, high wind warnings in effect for wind on the back side of the system. And then as we get into the Pacific Northwest, more snow heading into Wyoming's northwest mountains, the mountains of Idaho, and northwestern areas of Montana over the course of the next 24 hours. As we take a look at where we are today, there's the low over Minnesota. There's the strong jet stream winds. This low right here off the coast of British Columbia has kind of been a permanent feature. It sits there and spins off these little waves, but the system on its whole is not able to come through because of the omega block. That omega block continues to be a major headache, and it looks like it's going to be a major headache for longer, at least in terms of getting cold weather to come into the western U.S. By Friday night and the Saturday morning, notice that low's still there, but it ejects this guy. So the low off the coast of British Columbia maintains its integrity but breaks off in pieces. So here comes a piece screaming through the area Friday night and Saturday. So it's rinse and repeat. Another strong nose of jet stream winds will come through. So this is where we're going to start today, with the strongest jet stream winds arching around on the back side of the system. So the winds are just going to scream across the Dakotas, across Nebraska, eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, into Kansas. So you can see the wind gusts today will be centered right here. There you can see the next strong jet stream winds entering the Pacific Northwest. So during the day Friday, we have more of a west to east flow now with these strong jet stream winds. And so Friday is going to be another day where more high winds will hit the I-25, the I-80 corridor areas, the Front Range, the foothills of Colorado, west of I-25, up here along the Bighorns, up along the Cody area, over to South Pass. South Pass yesterday, 107 mile per hour wind gust. So it's not very fun to talk about what's coming. And then on Saturday, we have a nose of the jet coming in, but notice it's a bit further south. There is a bit southward of a push of colder air, which does put the jet stream a little bit further south. And there's going to be snow activity, snow showers along this jet stream wind with that colder air, along that colder air boundary as we get into Friday night, Saturday, and into early Sunday. You can see that. What I'm showing you here is the blue represents the colder temperatures. The warmer temperatures are the red colors here. This is on around noon Saturday. There is a push of colder air coming in. So right along this boundary, we're going to get snow showers and some snow squalls may be possible between I-70 and I-80 from Colorado to southern Wyoming during the day Saturday. This is the precipitation between now and Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So you can see the mountains are going to do well. Then we've got a little bit of snow shower activity reaching the plains. During the day Saturday, there could be some slippery roads up here along Interstate 90, along the Bighorns in that colder air and the snow showers. And notice we've got some speckles of green and blue here. there could be some snow squall activity Saturday in that area. So travelers, keep that in mind. We saw some of those snow squalls yesterday. So snowfall through Sunday looks like this. So that area right here, watch out for a little bit of snow across the plains during the course of the day Saturday. The heavier snow up into the Dakotas, up into Montana. Now let's go into Christmas week. There's that same feature again. These same two features are just locking things up and keeping the west from getting cold. And so this will spit out storms and fronts here over the next several days, but it can't come in whole because it's stuck in the block. But what we will see is an elongation of this low pressure system sliding down the west coast by Christmas Eve. So you can see that right there. So there's a bit of a southward shift of everything. However, here's the high. The clockwise circulation around the high means we're going to flood a lot of the central and southern United States with warmer air from the deserts. And this is going to mean a Christmas Eve and a Christmas Day for a lot of the nation. Basically from, I'll draw a box here, from here to here where it's going to be pretty warm. Now we'll stay cold up here and it's going to be cloudy, cool, and wet right here. But since the system is going to stay off the west coast, southwest winds flood the zone, so to speak. But this will produce wet weather. So this is Christmas Eve. This is Christmas Day. Now, something subtle here. Notice on Christmas Day, there's an eastward shift. And notice right here, the colors change as some cooler air and some moist air from this west coast storm system gets channeled in to the Great Basin states in areas west of the divide. And also, it'll be slightly cooler. So what this means is there will be an eastward push of moisture Christmas Eve and Christmas Day getting to the continental divide. East of the divide, it's a Chinook. It's going to be warm and dry. So if you look at the 3-day period of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, Thursday, you can see how close to the divide we will get some rain and snow. So California very wet, getting into the Great Basin states. Arizona gets into the mix, Utah, western Wyoming, eastern Idaho, southwestern Wyoming. You could see some snow showers on Christmas Day, as well as parts of the Uinta Basin and northwest Colorado. But notice this, for areas along and east of the divide, there's just a whole lot of nothing Christmas Eve and Christmas Day because of that blocking pattern. But at least there's going to be some weather here, and there will be some travel concerns and airport delays with the weather here Christmas Eve and Christmas Day along the west coast. And this is where the snow is going to be. Some very heavy snows in the Sierra. We'll see more snows, nothing really heavy, getting into the Rockies Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. This is not a pattern that produces a lot of heavy snow in the Rockies, but it will produce some. Beyond Christmas Day, that low may want to start to move off the west coast. Again, I point you up to here, British Columbia, high pressure. This block right here just continues to stymie any opportunity for any really cold to come in, at least through Christmas Day. Now, beyond Christmas Day into the weekend after Christmas, this low might get ejected and come across here. Don't know. That's a question mark. I'm not biting on the bait yet, but it's something that we'll need to keep an eye on for the weekend after Christmas. Notice up here, the Omega block continues in the illusions. I've been talking about a Greenland block. There it is. We are going to have two blocking patterns potentially developing late next week across the northern hemisphere, which is going to really throw a wrench in basically everything. So there's a lot going on, a lot to figure out. We'll have more for you tomorrow. Make sure you check out our regional travel forecast, especially here in the days ahead. See you tomorrow.